Now to a Target 12 Investigators exclusive. It was a frightening accident. Superior Court Judge Richard Licht struck by a Jeep while crossing a Providence street in February. After multiple surgeries and months of rehab and recovery, Licht recently returned to the bench.
And he sat down with Target 12 investigator Tim White about his road to recovery and what he endured.
A former lieutenant governor and longtime fixture in Rhode Island politics, Superior Court Judge Richard Licht is very familiar with Smith Hill, but in February, he nearly lost his life there.
All rise.
Months after a devastating accident, Superior Court Judge Richard Licht
I deny the motion based on 12B1.
is once again hearing cases. How are you feeling?
I'm doing a lot better. I'm really a lucky guy. I'm lucky to be alive. And I fought hard, had the help of a lot of people to get better, and not 100% yet.
On February 15th, Licht was crossing near the State House, headed to the Providence train station when he was struck by a Jeep Wrangler traveling down Smith Street.
And the police report says that she didn't brake, and I got thrown 35 feet.
35 feet.
Yes.
What do you remember from that night?
Fortunately or unfortunately, and most people tell me fortunately, I don't remember anything.
Really?
I don't. I remember waking up in the hospital 2 days later after I'd had emergency surgery on my leg.
In all, Licht underwent 3 surgeries to repair a shattered femur, fuse 6 vertebrae, and stop a brain bleed.
That's the scariest thing.
He says he's seen news coverage of the accident, including the stark image of his shoes lying in the middle of Smith Street. When you look at that photo or see the video on the news, what goes through your mind?
I don't know how I survived. That's what goes through my mind. Yeah. And I did because of the help of so many people, particularly my wife.
His wife, Roanne, was in Boston that night. She raced to Rhode Island Hospital, but had no idea if her husband was still alive.
And she tried to reach the hospital, and they wouldn't tell her anything because you can say you're next of kin, but they don't know that over the phone. And so until she saw me, she didn't know how I was doing.
That must have been hell for her.
Yeah, that was real hell for her.
Licht spent the next month in and out of hospitals and a rehabilitation facility.
I'm not sure they can decide anything that's in this complaint. But
after a grueling recovery, on August 15th, exactly 6 months to the day of the accident, Licht was back on the bench.
Thank you very much. Can I see counsel in chambers?
Licht says the outpouring of support he received kept him going.
Attitude matters, and I had the right attitude because people were rooting for me, and I felt not only did I owe it to myself, but I owed it to them to do everything I could to get better. So I'm so grateful to those people out there, many of whom I know, but actually many that I didn't know.
Did that surprise you?
Yes, it surprised me.
And it sounds like it helped?
Oh yeah, it helped tremendously.
That support included hundreds of letters and cards, one of which he found especially moving.
It's a nice card with a prayer, but then there's this note.
Could you read it?
Yes.
Coming up at 6, the story of that note and how his experience on the bench helped him make a critical medical decision. With the Target 12 investigators, Tim White, 12 News.